calling me. Hey, like for some reason, everybody's searches are coming up underneath me. They're like, hey, I got this client. I'm like, that ain't one of my clients. Must be one of my people. What's up, Facebook?
We made it.
Woohoo! What's up, man?
I need somebody again. This is like the control board, and I'm like, I got to figure out how to
you're
get
a
somebody
control
sitting
freak.
over there.
Who's out there unemployed, wants to be unemployed, but push buttons?
Yeah, you can come hang out with us.
Yeah.
on Friday
I'll give you
morning.
like coffee or something.
Free coffee. Yeah. So today's show, we're going to talk about David wants to deep dive into some interest rate issues. So everybody knows that the interest rates are crazy right now, and it's not helping buyers. It's not helping sellers either because it's causing a slowdown, in purchases. So we're going to deep dive into some numbers.
Right. So I've been saying this for a couple of weeks now. You got to marry the house and date the rate. Okay. What I mean by that is don't worry about the interest rate. Interest rates change all the time. They go up, they go down. We got fascinated with the 2.75% interest rates and thought we would stay like that forever, naively, right? Well, I've done some math, and I've compared that crazy seller's market that we had several months ago to what we have right now. And I did a video on my social media the other day. 7% interest rates, friend or foe? A lot of people are calling it foe, but I'm calling it a friend. And here's why. Okay, so I broke down some numbers so I can talk
I'll let David
specific
do the math because
and educated wise.
we're not going there.
So I got my crib sheet right here, okay? So let's say you did a $400,000 mortgage 6 months ago, right? And you got 3% interest rate. Just the principal and the interest, and that's what these numbers are, just principal and interest, because insurance and taxes are going to be property specific.
Sure.
So I want to just keep the numbers as specific to every property. Your mortgage would have been $1,686.42.
Okay.
Now, during that time, you likely would have paid $15,000 to $30,000 above list price, right?
Right.
You wouldn't have been able to get repairs for the most part, right? The buyers were paying the title policy. Now, the title policy for a $400,000 purchase price is $2,413. Okay. Now, you weren't able to get closing cost assistance.
Yeah, you
Right.
had no negotiation power.
No. Like a lot of times you were giving lease backs for 30 days to the seller for free,
Yeah.
right? So if you look at total cash out of pocket, right? If you were doing 15,000 above, you would have been out 17,400. If you did 30,000 above, you'd be out $32,400, right? And when you buy a house like that, you're starting off with negative equity. So you're looking at taking some time to even build back to zero,
Yeah.
right? Now, let's look at today's market. Get a $400,000 house, 7% interest. Your mortgage is $2,661.21. So if you subtract that from the $1,686.42, that leaves you with a loan costing you $974.79 a month more.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if you take that $974 times 12, it comes out to $11,697.48. Now, obviously, you want to wait until you refinance. Okay. When you refinance, the refi costs vary, but for this example, I use 1% as a refi cost. So that's $4,000. So using this example, you would be out $15,697.48.
And what's the difference between those two?
Oh, I'm gonna get to this, right? Your mind's gonna be blown. Okay. If you lost me, just do the playback, write it down, and you'll see. Or you can just send me a DM and I'll break it down for you. Okay.
Yeah, because we're actually live right now, so don't pause this.
Yeah, don't pause
We'll be
it.
behind.
So at 4%, let's say you refinance it, and interest rates can get to 4%, right? Nobody has a crystal ball,
Right.
so we don't know what they're going to go back to. I've seen some things to where they're going to be between 4 and 4.5. Everybody's different right now. We have no historical data to pull from, right? 3 years ago, when we entered a pandemic, there was no historical data for selling houses in a pandemic.
Yeah.
And then there was no historical data for working through a pandemic. And now there's no historical data for coming out of a pandemic and into a recession and this crazy inflation. So everything's hypothetical, right? I don't want to say suspect, but we just don't know.
Yeah, there's
Right?
something
We don't
definitely
know.
going on for sure.
But at 4%, your mortgage would then be $1,909.66.
Yeah.
And honestly, it should be a little bit less, because if you take this for 12 months, you're paying down some of your principal. So that refi amount would be less than a $400,000 loan, right? So but just using this as for data purposes, the difference for that loan at $1,909.66 to the 3% of $1,686.42 is only $223.24 more a month. So if you didn't buy a house then, you buy a house now, you refi at 4% for this example, it's really only costing you $223 more a month in the end if you missed out on that other end.
Yeah.
Right? But now, let's go back to the cost, right? The $974 a month times 12 months, and then the refinance cost, right? It came up to a little over $15,000. Well, right now, you can negotiate the price.
Yeah. And you're getting that negotiation power back on all facets, warranties. You can ask for the title policy to be covered, repairs.
Right.
You can deep dive into some negotiating in the pricing now.
Right.
Because houses are sitting on the market a little bit longer.
So follow me here for a minute, okay? This is why it's important to date the rate. So let's say you found a house that you like. You negotiate $10,000 off the list price. Right? You ask for $5,000 in closing cost assistance.
Right. Which is money directly out of your pocket. If you guys don't understand what portion of the closing cost, there's fees that are adjusted into the loan cost. And it can be anything from commissions, title policy costs, doc fees, all these other things. But when he says closing costs, what he means is stuff associated with closing the loan.
All your escrow fees, right?
Yeah.
And then you ask the seller to pay the title policy. Okay? Remember, that title policy was $2,413. So now you're up $17,000, almost $18,000. So you've covered that. You're front loading those costs for the next 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
So the reality is, in this scenario, right? This scenario, every scenario is going to be different, but in this scenario, you'd actually be coming out about $2,000 ahead.
Yeah.
Than what you were last year. Right?
Yeah.
Now, let's just take the $2,000. Your difference between buying at 3% last year and 4% on a refi was $223. If you're $2,000 up, you've really covered also 10 months worth of that difference.
Yeah.
And most people stay in their houses for 3 to 5 years. So you bought for a year, you front loaded for 10 months, you're almost at the 2 years right there anyway. So buying a house right now, it may seem scary, but I'm doing this right now myself. I'm working on putting my house on the market. I have already mentally prepared for it to be on the market for a little bit longer. I have mentally prepared to give money for closing costs. I've mentally prepared to cover the title policy. I've mentally prepared to give a home warranty, right? I've already done all the stuff I'm talking about, right? 'Cause I'm selling my house. But I'm buying a house in this market because I want to marry the house and I want to date the rate.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to go over here. I'm going to spread everything out over my costs are going to be spread out. Up front, it's going to suck a little bit. But what I'm doing is I'm dating the rate, okay? I'm getting what's good right now, but I know something nicer is going to be coming along. And I'll be like, what's up, man?
Yeah, girl.
And sign me up, girl.
So,
right? But
so a lot of people would say, hey, David, well, I understand that you're mentally preparing yourself for these facts and figures. And then a normal person that was thinking, well, why don't I just take those prices and those costs into account on listing my house price? And the problem with that is, say I adjust the house listing price to make up for that and be like, I'm going to try to market it that way to the other agent and their buyers and say, well, I know you guys are going to ask them for the title policy and all that to be taken care of, but I've already done that in the adjustment of my price. Well, they don't see it that way.
right.
Nobody's going to look at that price and say, oh, okay, well, that's fine. We don't want to negotiate any further. They're still going to want to, in this current market that we're shifting into, they're still going to want to negotiate. So you need to leave some of that room in there on your list price,
Right.
to back that down.
Now, I've talked to one of my clients that reached out to me. She's thinking about selling her house, and it's in New Braunfels. And so I ran the numbers. And in my calculations, I even told her in my recommendation, I would say I would plan and maybe market. And I'm thinking about doing this myself, maybe after a week or two, if depending on my activity, adding in a 1% credit to the buyer for the intent to help use that money to buy down their rate.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you got somebody that's sitting on the fence, I really want your house, but the rate sucks. If you can offer 1% and they can buy down that rate 0.25% or so, maybe that's enough to tip them over to buy the house.
Yeah.
Right? I'm okay spending $6,000 to sell my house.
Yeah,
Right?
I spent $6,000 in way worse ways.
Right? Yes. Right.
Yeah.
So, but that midget stripper still appreciates you.
It's okay.
I call it the college fund.
Mac and cheese that
Yes,
week.
but now to kind of go back to New Braunfels, because New Braunfels, Comal County is one of the fastest growing counties in the state and the nation.
And they also have a very low tax rate.
Yep. And New Braunfels, one of the highest cities around. Well, the house that I was looking at, we're looking at listing, I figured it probably going to be like in the high sixes, maybe cresting to the sevens. So I did a search from $600,000 to $800,000.
Talking about the target market analysis.
Well,
Or
I was
you
just
did, like,
I was
just
just
a
doing my
listing
comps.
search.
I was just
Okay.
doing my comps. But I did that next.
Yeah.
But I was just running my comps just to see where the numbers were, right? Because I want to take look at my numbers. Where are the numbers at? Then I do that target market analysis, see where the showings are at, and see which bracket has the highest amount of showings.
Sure.
So there were 13 houses that sold in the past 3 months in New Braunfels between 600 and 800,000. 13 houses sold. How many of them do you think sold for less than list price?
What time period?
The past 3 months. So in this right at the start of this,
Out of the 13?
out of 13, how many do you think sold for less than list price?
Maybe 2.
10.
In the last 3 months? Wow.
10 of the last 13 houses that sold in New Braunfels between 600 and 800,000, 10 of the 13 sold for below list price.
Okay.
That's
Well,
why I'm
it kind of
trying-
makes sense. From like July, that's when we really started seeing a decline in
Right, August,
activity.
yep. So you got August, September,
Yeah.
October.
No, it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm thinking it's still August for some odd reason. I'm stuck in the summer.
But, this goes back to the whole point of you can get money off the list price.
Yeah.
Right? You can set appraisal requirements now. Right? So even if you think it's still listed high, you do the right to terminate due to lender appraisal. If it comes in low, then you can renegotiate the price or get out of the contract. So you can negotiate the price now. 10 of 13 houses in New Braunfels in the past 3 months, between 600 and 800,000, price changed it.
Yeah. Well, something that I learned yesterday, and I hadn't really been paying that much attention to because I haven't been doing a lot of buyer stuff. There's the buyer representation or the final walk form.
Mm-hmm.
It's different now. It actually asks the buyer if they did a second inspection.
Yep.
So if this deal that you're working, which is kind of an issue that we're having right now, it's not an issue. It's just something that we're going through on a deal that I'm about to close. It's been such a long period of time since we've been under contract, been delayed and all that stuff for whatever reason. But now something might have happened in that house because it's empty, sitting empty. Nobody's living in it. You can never know what happens. A squirrel could get in there and tear something up, or a pipe could burst. So if you're buying a home right now and you're in that situation, you have that right to get the house re-inspected. I just learned that yesterday because I haven't been working with buyers. And the only reason I found that out is because the house that I'm selling, the buyer's agent was like, yeah, she might want to get a re-inspection. I was like, what?
Right.
Like, I ain't never heard of that before, and that's just something that in this business we're learning all the time. And
well, they even put on there, did you have an inspection?
yeah, they have to check yes or no.
Right. And so they changed that form because the market was just so nuts. People were buying houses without inspections.
There's probably a lot of litigation going on.
And I don't understand why there's this form that says, did you have it or not? What does it matter? At that time, it's passed.
Right.
Right? You negotiated the contract how you negotiated. So I don't understand this form to begin with.
Yeah.
I understand you signing saying that you walked it or didn't walk it before closing, but what does this matter with the inspection? Right. So I don't know. It's just everybody wants to try and say that they added to society or whatever so that they can put it on their resume. So if you're thinking about buying, don't be scared of the interest rate. I just explained to you why I think these interest rates are my friend right now.
Yeah.
Not my foe, right? And I'm not talking PHO, like foe show, right? They're my friend. They're your friend right now. It's all about perspective and how you put this into your mindset and mentally prepare yourself for things.
Yeah.
I can't predict that in 12 months, the interest rates will be 4%, but right now they're 7%-ish. I can't predict that in 12 months, home prices won't, the interest rate won't be 12%. We just don't know.
Yeah.
But mortgages are the only thing that is truly inflation proof.
Right.
Right. If you buy a house today at 7% interest and the interest rates go up to 12%, you're still at 7%. If they go down to 4% or so, you can always refinance and you keep it at 4%. If they go back up, hey, I got 4%. If they go back down, refinance again. Yep. And be like some chucklehead that got like a 2.25% interest rate when he refinanced.
I got extremely lucky.
Yeah. So you just never know. But if you're looking at buying a house, buy it. If you were looking the past 2 years and you didn't have the cash to go and buy a house to come above because you're in a multiple offer scenario, come out and buy now. Okay. Yes, the interest rates suck, but you're kind of spreading that cost that you were missing from that cash that you didn't have to put down in these multiple offer scenarios. You're now buying a house. You negotiate the price. You're actually walking into a house potentially with equity versus negative equity.
Absolutely.
Right. So, if you put 20 grand down and you were negative 20 grand on equity a year ago, but you can buy the exact same house now and get 10 grand off, that's a $30,000 switch.
Yeah.
That's a freaking full-time job. Like a whole year.
I think a lot of people too, like another thing that goes along with people's mindset with the money and percentages and all that. A lot of people, they think that they can't buy a house with less than 20% down on a conventional loan, and that's just not true. And people get so fear-mongered into the fact that they have to pay for PMI, but if you did the math, the PMI is, what are you going to, you put down 5%, you pay the PMI. Mm-hmm. If you get into a lump sum of money, just pay some extra on that to get above the 20%. Heck, even a couple years down the road, the values are going to go up. Then you can just kind of take a look at your equitable position and say, hey, I'm going to refinance this thing. Now I'm in a positive equity position. Now you never can go back. Well, a lot of people think, well, what if the home values drop? Am I going to get back in PMI? No, it doesn't happen. Once it's wiped away, it's gone.
Yeah.
And
I had a client that we purchased a house. They used conventional financing. They got rid of their PMI in 1 year. They did some improvements to the house. The housing market went up.
Yeah.
They had me run some comps, told them what the comps were. They went to the bank. We're like, hey, we have 20+% equity.
Yep.
The bank sent out an appraiser. The appraiser appraised the property, confirmed that they had 20% or more equity, and then they removed the PMI.
Right.
So if the market appreciates at, say, 3%, right, in 6 years, if you put 5% down, in 6 years, you would have 23% equity, theoretically, right?
Right. Yeah.
It probably wouldn't be that long because you're still paying down. So probably in 4 years, give or take, you could be out of that PMI section, right? And then you just petition to have it removed. And then what you do is you be smart about your money, and that money you were paying on PMI now goes to principal.
Yep.
Right? Because you're used to it. You budgeted it. So if you're paying $100 a month for PMI and you pay off your PMI, now you just add that $100 to a principal payment.
Yeah. Well, you can go to any and you guys can check this out at home or at your desk right now. Go to any mortgage calculator and type in whatever your mortgage is, and then do it on a 30-year note, and then do the same calculation with an extra $100 a month and watch it knock 10 years off. Now, people don't think about that. They're like, oh, it's $100 a month. I know some people are strapped and they just can't see themselves paying an extra $100
right now.
But man, I'm telling you, dropping a 30-year mortgage down to 20 for just an extra $100 a month, you probably drink that in Starbucks and sodas and freaking Snickers bars at the end of the week.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
get
it's
my
not,
nails done, dude.
what we really have to do is get financially fit as best we can, and that's kind of something that David was talking to in a training here recently. Was we need to become more of a financial real estate advisor for our clients, and your agents should be held to the same standard. They need to figure out a way to help you grow your investments through real estate, and if not buying more real estate, making you more savvy with the current real estate that you own.
Right.
And make sure that you're handling those properties the correct way and the way that it can make you the most money. If you've got an extra property for rental properties, hey, it might be a good idea to either upgrade that property and bump the rents, or get rid of that property, 1031 exchange it into something else that's more profitable. Or even if you don't have the money to go buy a rental property, look at the equity you have in your current home and pull out some money and go buy a rental property to add to it. So that's something that offline, if you guys want, you can reach out to us and we can kind of advise you on that.
Because, like, think about it. If you have $100,000 in equity in your home right now, you have $100,000 sitting in a non-interest bearing account that you have no access to.
Yeah.
If you pull it out, you turn it into a rental property, for example, and you get, let's just say your rent breaks you even, and the market is appreciating at 3%. You're getting 3% return on your money, whereas right now, if it's sitting in your equity, right?
Yeah.
You're getting nothing. So it's just, how do you make real estate become a monetized source of revenue, not only currently, but for building your retirement?
Yeah, and here's the flip side of the coin. If you're currently someone that is looking to buy your first home and you're continually renting right now, I have nothing against people that rent homes. I actually have no problem with people that rent. But you have to understand, if you're scared to buy a home right now because of the interest rate, your rent is 100% interest rate.
Versus 8%.
So
or 7%.
You're not the only person that you're helping in a rental situation is the person that owns that property. You're not, I mean, yeah, it's a place to lay your head at night, but at the end of the day, your interest rate on that rent is 100%, and you don't ever see that money again. So you might want to reevaluate your ability to purchase a home and then get yourself out of that.
Yeah. Even if it's a starter home.
Yeah,
maybe
it doesn't have to be.
Like, at least it's safe and sanitary.
Everybody has this idea they want their first home to be like so awesome.
Yeah, you got somebody knocking on the door like,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like you open up the door with your butler, right?
Yeah.
But even if it's not your dream home, you use it as a position to get into the market.
Yeah, it's called a starter home for a reason.
Right? And then you work on saving money and you get into something that's nicer, and then you keep the one that you were in as a rental property.
Yeah.
Right? And then when you're in this one, and you get more positioned in your career. Maybe you get married and you get a second income coming in. And you can buy a house here. Well, you keep both of these as rentals, and before you know it, you got 3 houses. You got 2 people paying off 2 houses for you, and you're working on paying off this house.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Maybe you buy a duplex and you live in one, you rent one out to cover the mortgage or close to it, and you can live rent free.
Yeah, and something kind of go off on an extra tangent here, but if you're a VA home loan, if you qualify for a VA home loan, they'll let you buy up to a 4-plex. so here's the deal: like I can find you a 4-plex right now for $600,000-$700,000. You can get that loan from the VA, live in one of the units, rent the other 3 out, and you
live rent
your
free.
cash flow. And I could guarantee you'd probably cash flow.
Now, check this out. Just in case you don't qualify for a VA loan.
Yeah, there is another way.
As long as you do it 1 to 4, there's a way for you to be able to qualify for the home as an investment property, as long as 2 of the properties can rent out to cover the whole mortgage.
Yeah.
Whole different crazy calculations. I know I already busted up Steven's head with those numbers, but
we'll say the mortgage is $4,000 a month. You need to bring in $2,000 in revenue on at least 2
on 2 of the properties.
Yeah.
Then you can use that as a way to buy some.
And that's not far fetched, guys. Most of the 4-plexes that you're going to see, that you're going to in the areas that you're probably going to want to live in, the rent is going to be anywhere from $1,300 to $1,700, maybe even $1,800 a month for a little 2-2 or a 3-2
townhome or
something like
4-plex.
that.
But
so it's not. You need to change the way that you think about your investments and the ability for you to have buying power, because there's options out there. You just got to go out and talk to a real estate person, talk to a mortgage lender, and find out, hey, what kind of programs do you guys offer? Because you know nothing. You're not going to get any answers unless you start asking questions. So
knowledge is power.
It is true. It's true.
Actually, it's not.
Power is power. That's what
implementation.
Yeah, right.
Implementation is power.
Well,
knowledge is no good unless you implement it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Mind blown.
Right. Implementation is power, not knowledge.
Do you have anything else for the crowd? No,
I don't. Do you have anything for me?
That's pretty. I think the numbers are pretty. It's pretty laid out. You can't be fearful about the interest rates right now, and I'm not saying that because I could care honestly less if someone decides to buy a home or not.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why we say these things is because we wouldn't advise it to anybody unless it was something that we would take into practice ourselves. David's doing it right now. He's buying a house.
This is what I want you to take away, right? I want you to marry the house.
Yeah.
And I want you to date the rate. Okay? I want you to think about the cost of what it would have cost you 6 months ago to get a house versus now, and how you can take, before you couldn't, there's no way to spread out that cost.
Right.
Now you can spread it out with price reductions, with closing cost assistance, things like that. So marry the house and date the rate.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Y'all have a good weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys want to reach out to us, just send us a message on Facebook. This is actually going live on the San Antonio Realty Pros podcast Facebook channel, and I think it's cross-posting to Karis Randolph. If not, I'll share the video over there.
Oh, and you can follow back up with us on our YouTube channel. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're trying to do a lot on our YouTube. Hit the little bell, like and subscribe. Hook some veterans up, right? We made our first penny on monetization. So we're only 9 million pennies away from our goal. So you can help with the click of a like and a subscribe.
Yeah, because we have almost 1,200 subscribers now, which is, I think you have to have 1,000.
We're balling now
to get it going. But most of the videos on our YouTube channel right now are just they're audio with a little infographic on the front. Right. We're trying to do this format. I think this is a little bit better. It kind of brings out our personality a little bit more. So if you guys will do us a massive favor to help us out a lot, just subscribe to the channel.
And I just dropped 160 videos that I've done into Steven's Google Drive.
Yep.
So A lot more content is going to be going out there, not just a podcast. So we want to try and make it a plethora. There's the word for the weekend, plethora of information for our subscribers and for our followers. So
Absolutely.
you're in the know as much as we know, you know? You know?
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know, I know you know. You know?
So, yeah, I think that's pretty much all we got. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Maybe you catch us on the next one when we go live. We'll make sure you get the notifications sent out. And again, if you got questions, send us a message. See you later.